Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Blokes podcast. Ryan Hassan from the Centre for Healing here, joined as always by Nick, the Sultan of Still, the Miracle of McRae, Sutherland. And we have back for round two, Chris G. Chris, thanks for coming back, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys. Super pumped to be here.
So
Now, is
for,
it
for
Chris
those
G or
just
is it Chris G or Kenny G? Because I was watching one of your reactions to Tool this morning, and the locks were flowing, the lettuce was everywhere, and I was like, "There's some real Kenny G vibes with Chris G."
Yeah, yeah, to clear up any misconceptions, I am not related to Kenny G. Unfortunately, I would love to be. I'd love to play with him, but we just happen to both have similar hair. He has longer hair than me now. I did get a haircut, so
Okay. Oh, you did. Wow. Have you ever been spotted in the same room at the same time?
no, never.
Okay. All right.
interesting.
Conspiracy theory deepens. Good to have you back, mate. We loved having you on the first time, and just obviously we all have a very similar interest, which is music, and deeper into that Tool. You're the one of the latest members of the Tool army, so we get to sort of fan out about that a bit. And again, so I spent a couple of hours watching your reactions this morning, and I thought it'd be great for us to talk about Tool specifically, and why their music captures people. What is so, there's 8 billion bands in the world. What is it about Tool that people just go, fuck, what is it for you, having come into such recent contact with them?
Yeah, well, it's funny you asked that. So I listened. A lot of people ask me like, "Where have you been your entire life? Like, where you've been under a rock, since the '90s?" And maybe I have been, and maybe it was like this jazz rock. But I did get out from underneath that rock and listen to like different rock, punk, ska, classical, jazz, all that. But I just happened to miss Tool. Like they just I've like I said in my very first maybe the pop video where I was like, I remember seeing Tool shirts, but they never just popped up. They really weren't a radio band, and back then in the 90s I was like kind of radio and like cassettes and CDs. Like that's like kind of what I listened to. I really didn't even watch like MTV. I remember little tangent here, but I remember seeing a video of Adam talking about they were like number 53 on the top 100 and they're like, oh man, we don't want to be a top 40 band, like it was like something they were like anti. And I was like, that's so funny. And I saw that like recently, like in the last couple weeks. And to answer your question best, I would say after listening to all these prog metal, prog rock bands, and then all the other stuff I had in the past, still nothing quite sounds like Tool. Like they have this distinct sound, and the way that they're just, the way they play, like it's just to my ears it's so fresh every time I hear it. Even I listened to Numa probably. I was grading yesterday. I had to grade a bunch of papers, and I listened to Numa for like an hour straight yesterday, just as that's my pump up music to grade, and just hearing that over and over and over again, I'm still just like, this is so good. I don't ever have to change the song. And I did the same thing with Invincible this morning actually. So maybe I'm on a fear inoculum trip or something, but yeah, so I just think every song of theirs is just so distinctly them, and they don't really quite fit into a genre. They don't fit into a sound. But that's in saying I don't have the background of where prog rock started. I have listened to a little bit of King Crimson. I've heard some of them, but they're like a totally different vibe. But I know that Danny is super into that band. I haven't really listened to Pink Floyd or Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath or other bands. I know they've kind of, I don't think they've been related to, but have maybe gotten roots from. But yeah, I don't know. That's the best I can come up with.
Well, listening to you, like I play the drums. I've loved music my life, but I wouldn't consider myself to be a musician. I'd consider you to be a musician, and when you speak of it, it's like you're helping us to listen and look or observe it. We can observe with our ears. You're helping us to observe it through the lens of a musician, and you talk about layering, and you're talking about the movement and everything. And I loved how you cottoned on early on that they're all masters of their craft, and you talk about Adam and Justin with this push pull sort of thing, and then Danny's just soloing in the background, and then they all come together. And when I was really tuning into that, I found my mind um, really listening to Adam for a while, and the discipline that he had in just playing that riff in Invincible, and it was. Um, it's not a 4/4 time, so the the mind can't grasp the music. It's like 4/4 music is like, oh yeah, and we sort of fall in and we fall into this pattern, as far as I understand it, where and Ryan and I have both done hypnotherapy in the past, and as practitioners, and there's different levels of consciousness, beta, alpha, theta, delta, and different frequencies and everything. And you listen to a theta wave, it's not 4/4, it's not something the mind can grab onto and go with. So for me, that's what Tool is doing, is that's why people spiral out. I think listening to it literally changes your level of consciousness.
Like the unpredictability. Normally like you listen to a song on the radio and you're like, oh, yeah, even if you haven't heard the song, you're like, I kind of know where this is going, or I've got a pretty good idea. Whereas with a Tool song, if you really want to listen to it, it's like, I've got to pull the fucking car over here. I've got to really pay attention. Like even Rosetta Stone, which I don't know if you've gotten into yet, Chris. But that song, I remember listening to it the first few times when the album came out, and I'm like, where the hell are they going with this? Then it hits that crescendo near the end. You're like, holy shit. They just brought that whole, what seemed like, to a degree, a mess, a pleasurable listen, but a mess into this just amazing harmony at the end. I think it's
Yeah.
that unpredictability that the brain's trying to, make sense of.
Yeah, you both nailed it in that way. I did do Rosetta Stone. I had the lyrics
Oh,
out for
really?
it because, yeah, they were
Oh, yeah.
insane.
Good luck
Yeah.
with that. Yeah.
Everyone told me they're like, you got to do the lyrics, and I actually printed out like the lyrics, like because they're like, and someone on I think Patreon was like, I find it funny that you actually printed something out to like read. I was like, I'm not gonna be fumbling with my phone, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be doing all this. But yeah, Rosetta Stone was insane. Like, but you're right. Like, there's this. So in other countries, Africa, uh, you know, any type of Latin America, Armenian, like different countries all over the world, they play music and they're in these odd time signatures. And odd time signatures have a different feel to it than that 4/4 that Nick's talking about, where it's just like, and even what you're talking about, Ryan, where you're in the car, and if something's got a good groove, you're just like able to groove along with it. And with Tool, they utilize these odd time signatures, which automatically puts you like if we're doing an odd time signature and you're just beating along, like this, eventually you're going to be on the upbeat every other bar. You're not going to be on the downbeat every time because odd time signatures hit, they don't hit in even amounts. So if we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, it's predictable, but that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, it just already feels, five feels so much different than four, and they are doing that. And there's this funny thing. I remember when I first started listening to Tool, people are like, "Oh yeah, he's got the Tool headbang or something like that." Like they mentioned like where because I was trying to get into the groove, and then I was like,
Yeah.
I was out
Oh,
of it because
oh, oh.
I was
It's
so
real
unpredictable.
stuttery. Yeah.
And it's like a hilarious like a bobblehead kind of thing, and now like I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm falling more into their grooves. And I listened to an interview with Maynard, and he talked about he grew up running. So he grew up like running cross country, and he was a runner in I believe high school. And and his breathing would always be in these odd time signatures. Like he would breathe with like, and I do this sometimes when I run too, where I'm taking like five steps and then I'm like breathing in and out, but it's like an odd amount of
I did
footsteps.
that
And
with swimming. I
yeah,
did that with swimming. Yeah, I just
yeah,
realized it.
I was just imagining Maynard running, going, hey, 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 hey.
Doodle-doo-doodle-doo-doo. Doodle-doo-doodle-doo-doo.
yeah. Oh
I,
man, yeah.
I, I, that unpredictability that Ryan was talking about was evident this morning with you, Chris, because you're like, oh. wow, and he's having this moment, and then it starts again. You're like, oh, there's more, and it was just such a beautiful. Oh, there's more. Like it just catches you off guard. And in our line of work, we call it a pattern interrupt. It's interrupting the pattern, and I think that's what the four of them are constantly doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was yeah, with Invincible you're talking where I was like,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
more? I was like, I was so
yeah.
pumped there was more. I was like, this is great.
Do you reckon that they're low key heavy? Like you listen to Adam's riff and you listen to like they are, for me. There's so much weight. The heaviness of the riffs and
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
What's your take?
Yeah, I love yeah, they're it's it's like a yeah, I think you nailed it. I mean, every time I hear them, I realize how deep and how like groove oriented they are. And Adam just I mean, I got to give Justin some love too, because he just
Hmm.
also holds down. There's certain things I started listening to. I did the full Lateralis album, and when I re-listened to certain songs that I had heard already, like Lateralis or The Grudge, I was like honing in on just Justin, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, there's some stuff in there that he does that I'm just like, wow, like it's so subtle, but you have to be really, really like keen in on it. But yeah, some of the riffs, I mean, they're like their riffs are as good as anyone's in terms of, you know, whatever tune you want to name, whether it's like Numa, the pot, like I mean, there's so
Mm.
46 and 2, like I mean, what's the one song I recently did?
Was watching you do the full album listen, Chris, and you got to Ticks and Leeches, and I don't think
Oh
that was
God.
one you heard before. And I'm like,
Uh,
that's a bit of an assault on the senses, that one. It's pretty
that
heavy.
one is wild. Yeah, that
Yeah.
one was because that was one of the tunes. I think The Patient, the Holy Trinity, Ticks and Leeches were like five, I guess, if you want to call the Holy Trinity three tunes. That was like five of the tunes I hadn't heard from Lateralis. And when Ticks and Leeches came on, a lot of people requested, and I was like, I kind of want to go into this one and The Patient without knowing anything because I've done the rest of these, and I love The Grudge. That's like maybe my favorite song from that album. It's probably the best lead-off song to an album that I've ever heard, in my opinion. That's just
Mm.
my, but I haven't heard
Agreed.
all the Tool albums yet, so maybe my opinion will change there. But yeah, that Ticks and I mean, there are just too many and so many that they just do this. They have this like formula almost where they just have it down and they know where to do the dynamics. Dynamics are so underrated in music where, you know, even in speaking, like we can speak low and then speak loud and speak faster or speak slower. And they do all of that. They have a mastery of all that. And Danny has a great dynamic range in his playing, even in Numa, where he's doing those clicks at the beginning, where it's like, ga, 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 ga. It's like that polyrhythm he's doing. Then he goes up and then he goes down and just little things like that. There's like these small nuances that's like that's such a technical thing to do and it's so enjoyable for us, but we don't even realize that they're doing it. It's just like, oh, this is beautiful, but why? And some of it's that dynamics that they just have mastery of.
And you referenced the Eastern sort of influence when I was listening to you this morning, and also Danny's. I loved it how you picked up in his cymbal work, and you're like, oh, his cymbals are in tune, and his cymbals, and you know, because Danny's primarily a percussionist, sitting behind a. That's what he started as a percussionist, and then he moved on to the kit, and so his kit is just one big playground for him now, and it's just to have your hi hat where he's got it, like that's just no one's done that before.
Yeah, I've heard it's a really weird placement. I don't play drums, but I know that I did hear him talk about that a little bit. He's like, yeah, I had to get used to that, but it made sense for the rest of his, you know, his
Well, it
army,
takes him it
arsenal.
creates a balance. It's sort of the fulcrum, I guess, and then he can move to this side, and then he can move to that side so much easier. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, but it was I loved it again this morning. We're like, oh, and you pause him, and what Danny's playing is really hard, and then and he sort of goes along, and then he starts playing, and it just gets complicated, and then you press play, and then he's just gone, hold my beer, and gone even more complicated. It's like in your face, I was just like, what? His double bass kicked in, and he
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
what?
I know they always seem to surprise me that they have like another level on top of where I already think they're already maxed out. And so I think that's why I love them so much. Why what made me fall in love with them, even after that very first tune. First it was like, what are my ears hearing? I've never heard anything like this before. And then everything after that, I've been like, I've still have never heard anything like this before. They're just their own thing, and it's wonderful. And it's finding it in my 40s too. It's like when you think you've listened to everything, and you've already found like music you love, and you're just gonna just enjoy it. So I think that is too. I'm always looking for like new stuff. I love listening to new stuff, and then to find something just completely foreign to me, that was so fun. I'm always loving to explore. I kind of have that childlike, you know, like energy to just explore and enjoy like new things. So,
How
That's
good. It's
important.
the I think they don't, for as long as they've been around, they don't have a lot of albums out. Which some Tool fans a bit pissed off about. But listening to you listen to it again this morning, and I started, just as you said before, I just started focusing on what Adam's doing this time around, and you can listen to the same song on repeat. And so the album, the songs are 10 minutes long as well, which helps. But it's if you listen to a different member of the band specifically for the song, you can listen to that song 4 times in a row and hear a completely different song.
oh, totally. Yeah. It's funny. I actually was listening to 46 and 2 yesterday or the other day, and I never realized what Maynard does in the beginning of that song. Like he's got these like small little vocal hits, and I was
Mm.
like, oh, I don't think I picked up on that on my React, and I don't know if it was just because I was wearing, but I had my headphones on when I did the React, so there were certain things I'm just like, oh, I'm like, this is wild. Like, why? How did I not hear certain things? But yeah, I'm accustomed to doing that when I transcribe. When I transcribe, jazz, and I'm transcribing, let's say, I don't know who's behind me, Sonny Rollins. Okay, I'm gonna listen to Sonny if I'm transcribing him, but other times when I don't have my horn with me, I'll try to listen for the bass player, and I'll listen to the drummer. Like I think it might be Max Roach on that album, and then I might listen to the piano player, like how's the comping, and I might take ideas from all of them when I eventually solo and improvise. So I do like singling out, different people, and so with Tool, it's fun because yeah, they're not just like some regular band that you're just gonna hear the rhythm section doing their thing, then there's a singer, and then there's like a chorus and a verse and then chorus, and then we're out of there, and that's that. But like you can hear the nuances if you do listen to one at a time. um yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah. Do you reckon there's a question to both of you? I wonder, you spoke about at the start, Nick, like what's appealing about it. And I know Tool has many, female fans and whatnot, but it seems to speak to males in a deep way. And I actually had a laugh, Chris. You were saying, I think I saw in one of the videos that after you did the pot reaction, you went and told your wife, and she's like, didn't you know about Tool? Like she knew about it already, which is hilarious. But do you think there's something that just speaks to the masculine, the males? Over the years, a few times I've been in the car normally after a couple of beers and Melissa's driving, and I'm like, let's play this song, and I'll tell her everything about a bloody Tool song. And she's like, I love that you love it, but this is a very, masculine, male kind of vibe. So is there anything do you think that speaks to men? Like there's very, deep concepts and topics in the lyrics and whatnot, but there's also a level of aggression, to it. I'm just wondering what speaks to males.
I can't go super deep on the lyrics yet because I don't know them that deep yet, but I think there is something with the music that's just like kind of primal, like just the way that, like especially some of the earlier stuff, Maynard is like just, he's just so raw and like in there, like that whole Opiate album. Even Lateralis, like in certain parts of Lateralis, there's some transformation there. I don't have a ton of Undertow in my ear yet, but I have listened to a couple of tracks from there. And so I don't know, there is something that's just that driving pulse. I think, yeah, and I think maybe men just like that more because we're just kind of that kind of creature. But
A
I,
bit
I don't
more
I don't
AP.
yeah. Maybe,
What
yeah,
is
AP is a good one. Yeah, I mean, I don't, maybe that's why it took me so long to find him because my taste in music has never been like super hardcore, like getting into like I've been very much. I grew up on like Motown, and I grew up
Mm.
on jazz stuff, and then I grew up on soul and stuff
Which
like
is
that.
all awesome stuff.
Yeah, it's great, but it's like it's finding a groove in that is different than finding a groove on, you name a tune from Tool. It's like a different kind of groove, when it hits. So, yeah.
And it's funny. It's funny how different genres, I don't know, resonate with different parts of us. I guess, like as, and I love talking to you because it's obviously a mental health related podcast, and music influences and affects our moods so much. And so I can listen to Coltrane just and sit there and just like, oh yeah, and it's a very different experience to because it's just nice. That's how I'd do it. It's just nice. It's like, yeah, that's nice, that's cool. And then I stick Tool and I'm just like, and I'm waiting for Danny Simmons and I'm and I'm so involved in it, and it's and then I start Alice in Chains, and I'll sit there and I'll just sit in the garage drinking a beer, and I'm just like, it's I don't know, it just brings out something different in all of us at different times.
It's so interesting. I was in the car with Tommy the other day thinking this exact same thing because we'll get onto a band and he'll start to get to know it. And every time we get in the car, I was like, Dad, can we play this or play that? And the other day we went to automatically put a band we were listening to on, and I'm like, "Oh, I just don't really feel like this at the minute." And he's like, "No, me neither." It's like we both love that music and that song, but we don't feel like that particular vibration at the minute. And so we went for something a bit more mellow. So there's something to that, I think.
Yeah, totally. Let's quick tangent of a story real quick because you talked about your son, and I was in the car the other day. This was last week. We were driving to music lessons, and my daughter Sunny was in the back, and I played Numa, and she just goes, "I like this song." And I turned around and I'm like, "I like this song too." And I'm like, "Hell yeah." Like that was like I was
Parenting
like
win.
because I'd played it for them before, like her and my other daughter Quinn, and it was like maybe the second or third time she heard it, and I played it in the car, and she just goes, "I like this song," and she loves Danny's playing. She just loves the drums and stuff, and so it was so cool. It was like such a
That's
proud. Like I
sick.
was like, "All right, you don't have to wait till you're 40 to listen to Tool for the first time."
Which pros and cons, because I mean, if I imagine if I just got into Tool in the last couple of years, it'd be a very different experience. It's a different version I've been listening to. I love that I've had 20 years with them so far, but it'd be fascinating to come into them at 40. But
Mhm.
while we're on the kids with music, I've seen some really cool videos of the parents driving like the camera there, which you can see the kid in the back seat there, and like playing Britney Spears, and they play Shania Twain, and they play someone else, and the baby's like, and then Metallica comes on, and the baby's literally, and then it just starts headbanging like it's a toddler, and other babies are getting soothed to hardcore metal.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah, it's
I
that
don't know,
vibration Ryan's talking about. Yeah,
yeah.
there's definitely some vibrations. I mean, music is so beautiful in that way that it can change our moods you know, from having the worst day ever to having, a great day, or at least mellowing out to a maybe a steady baseline. Yeah,
Have,
It's
have
it's
fun.
you
It's
have you
fun.
have you have you
Sorry,
gotten
Nick, again.
onto Tenacious D much? Did you?
I've heard them before. Yeah, yeah, they make me laugh. I remember listening to them way back in the day. I
Yeah,
haven't heard. I don't know if they have anything new, but I remember some of their songs from back in the day. They kind of have some pretty solid riffs. I mean,
they do, but
yeah.
Kyle's classically trained, and it's amazing how many heavy metal musicians are classically trained.
Mm,
It all starts from and
yeah.
blast beats in jazz and everything from way back in the day.
Yeah, I just listened to a song by Between the Buried and Me today. It's called Famine Wolf, and at the end of it is like, I mean, they go through all these different transitions. A wonderful song if you guys want to check out a really cool tune. I just reacted to it today, so it'll be out sometime soon. But super cool song, and the end of it is, without any spoiler alerts, it's like this Bach metal thing. It's so cool. Like what the transitions are going through. I'm like, this is like Bach they're playing. It's beautiful. I mean, it still has the metal component and the electric guitar, so it's not like this, Bach fugue or, whatever, Parita or whatever they're called. But yeah, I mean, it's just beautiful. And I'm like, man, these guys are they're not just like playing, random shit. They're like playing real stuff here. Like this is well written, really beautifully written stuff. So yeah, I'm finding, and I saw Opeth last week with my cousin live in concert, and they blew me away. I was like, this is
Mm.
unbelievable. I mean, they're a legendary band in
Mm.
rock metal, but yeah, Opeth was totally worth it. And those their writing and man, it was so, and they were amazing live. Like one of the best bands I've seen live. Didn't I don't know all their stuff, but the stuff I did know, it was like as clean as the album. The drumming was incredible, singing, all of it was fantastic.
Have you gotten onto Drumeo? Have you seen any of Drumeo's
Yeah,
stuff?
I've seen a little bit. I'm trying to, so sometimes they do songs that I'm going to react to, so I have to like
Okay,
pick
yeah.
and choose, but I love some of the stuff that they do there. It's so cool. Like I did see, who did I see? I'm trying to think who I saw. I have it queued up. There's a Dennis Chambers who's like a drummer who
Yeah, yeah.
plays, I think he plays one of the Tool songs. Is it The Pot or something like that? Or,
I think Dennis might do one, but Mike
okay,
Portnoy does one.
okay.
What is that? I
Yeah,
think he does
he
new.
tries to do
It's Numa.
Numa.
He
Does he do
tries to do
Numa?
Numa,
Oh
and
shit,
and
I
and
gotta see that.
Mike is a prog drumming
Yeah,
legend.
he's this Dream Theater. Yeah, he's the
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And then he's sitting there trying, and he's like, "Fuck you, Danny Carey." He goes, "This isn't a song. This is a math equation or something."
It was funny at the start because they told him we're giving you a song by Tool. He's like, "Oh, for God's sake, of all the songs you could give me."
Yeah.
uh oh my gosh, yeah, there's so
It's
much
funny
because
that when you said this morning as well, though, like Danny can do. Danny's just doing whatever he wants because Danny can do whatever he wants,
yeah,
and it was so true. Just imagine the scene there going, "Oh, I'll just do this now," and it's like
yeah.
that level of mastery is phenomenal.
Yeah, I saw this video recently. It popped up on my feed, and it was Travis Barker, who's a great drummer. I think who's the drummer of Chili Peppers? Is that Chad Smith?
Chad Smith, yeah,
Chad Smith, and then Danny, and it was some tribute to Black Sabbath or
yeah,
something like that. Did you see this?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and Travis goes first, then Chad, then Danny plays last, and I'm like, this is not even a competition. Like
yeah.
how amazing Danny plays. It's like
the
so
the
different.
comments the comments section was wild too because it's like, oh, it
Oh,
was nice of Danny to let the other two play.
it was, I mean, yeah, I mean, all of them sounded great. So it's not, but I mean, it's like, it's blows me away that Danny's just in this league of his own, even with those two drummers, because I grew up listening to Travis. Like I love Blink. I love when he joined Blink 182. That was like one of my favorite bands growing up, and his drumming was like to me the best drumming, cleanest drumming I'd ever heard. But that was before I ever heard like anyone else outside of, we can call that punk or whatever, punk
Yeah,
rock. Yeah. So yeah, it was, but yeah, yeah, it was really cool to see all three of those guys on the same stage with the same kind of drum, solo section, and just hear Danny's, like he has a whole style. Like it's not just like Tool. It's like he
mm.
has this whole style he brings to everything he plays. So yeah, it's really cool.
and it looked like he was even holding back as well. I think he was just sort
Oh,
of like, oh, the other guys did that. I better just do this.
yeah, better
And
do a bunch of polyrhythms that they can't do, like
yeah,
perfectly. Like it was like, holy shit, that was amazing. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
whole tool set from Ozzy's tribute was so good. Like it was. I'm going to take a photo and turn it into a T-shirt of Justin. He's going. I don't know if you've seen the whole thing, but
I haven't
there's
seen it.
oh, dude, there's a session and Justin has got these round glasses on, and he's going mad. He's just in the pocket, and then he headbangs so hard that his glasses start to fall off, and he's just got this wild man look about him. And I want to capture it and get it on a T-shirt. It's just such an epic image of the dude. He's so hilarious.
I
The
gotta I
the
gotta check
the
that out.
dynamics of them all are so different. Like you listen to them and just Justin's this geezer, and then Adam's this, and Danny's this, and Maynard's that like what a time to be alive where four of them exist at the same time and they somehow find each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. I think it all worked. I think Danny might have told the story on maybe it was Rick Beato about how that just worked out perfectly. And Danny just was had a space that he was renting out for them to practice, and then their drummer just not stopped showing up. And he's like, "Well, I can fill in or I could play," and then he just became the drummer. Like because they were already renting like practice space from him or
Yeah,
using
he was
practice
drumming for
space.
Carole King or someone at the
Yeah,
time.
Carole King. Yeah, that's right. He
Yeah,
was just a jazz drummer, and he
yeah,
and he was telling his parents, like, yeah, I got this good. It's a great gig, and then he was just doing that like the Tool thing for like that's his fun thing, and then he's like,
yeah,
well, maybe this is my actual thing. That's my job
yeah.
now. This is not just fun, but it's like gonna be my what makes me who I am, which is pretty cool.
What's your go-to album, Hass, for from
Oh,
Tool?
oh. Um, I think I have probably Lateralis, but Anima and 10,000 Days are like they're pretty much right there. Like it's hard like choosing your favorite kid or something, like
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's
kind
just
of crushing.
unbelievably difficult. Yeah, I saw you,
Is
Chris,
that why
on
you've only got one kid? So you
What are
can
you
say,
yeah,
oh,
doing?
he's my
yeah,
favorite.
because
Yeah.
then I can say you're my favorite, and there's no
Yeah.
then the dog ignores me for a week. Um, but yeah, I did. I don't know which video I was on, Chris, but I was having a watch yesterday. I think it was when you were doing the full lateral. So yeah, Chris did the entire album listen through, which hats off to you. That's a big undertaking doing it
Yeah.
all in one sitting.
Oh
And
yeah, it was. I had to
it
take a
was
pee break, but
yeah,
I
oh
I
for sure. And
yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
maybe Parabola, so a song you'd heard a couple of times, and you were starting to be able to predict like what was coming, and you're like, I'm not even close to being sick of listening to these songs. And I thought, well, for me, like 25 plus years, I'm still not sick of listening to the songs. So I don't think you'll get over it. But yeah, what about you, Nick? That's probably my take.
10,000 Days, I think.
Yeah.
And then Fear Inoculum, maybe
Oh
second. But yeah,
wow. Controversial.
yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I know. Lateralis blows me away. Undertow, some amazing songs and that. But I don't know. It's just, I guess over the years, you sort of form relationships with them.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, for some reason, 10,000 Days, I think Wings of Marie, and the whole thing just
Yeah,
got me
that's
through
so
some
good.
times or whatever. And
So I've got a soft
yeah,
spot for Anima because Push It is my favorite Tool song. And so when I was like 16, 17-year old, hormones going, angry teenager, I just Push It, got me through some tough times. That still sits atop my list. I don't know if you've listened to that one yet, Chris.
Yeah, yeah, it's coming out next week actually
Oh
on
God.
YouTube.
Oh, I
Yeah,
can't
it's
wait.
great. That's a great one. Yeah.
better
I
jump on his Patreon thing, Has, so you can get an
Get
early
early
listen
access? Okay.
before it's
yeah,
released.
it's already out there for sure. Yeah, no, yeah, it's funny. I'm listening to all out of order. So you guys got to listen to them in order cuz and absorb them for years before the next one came out. And I kind of get like the choice and it's been funny how my preferences have kind of floated around and there's I don't know for some reason 10,000 Days I like pulls me towards that album. There's something about that album that maybe it was the pot, maybe it was just some of the other songs from there, but then like Anima came into my life and I'm like, "Oh, this is really great." And then Lateralis and then, with Fear Inoculum I've done Invincible, Numa and Descending and I'm just like, "Oh, geez." I'm like those are just absolute bangers and the only one I haven't really gotten fully into is Undertow and I need to go back and I was going to do the whole album all at once for Undertow because I just feel like I need to get caught up with that. But yeah, it is like you were saying, Nick, like some of the songs from certain of the albums, depending on like where you are in your life, like it kind of pulls you towards it. And I think that's what like 10,000 Days and I'm doing Wings part 1 and 2 probably tomorrow or something. So, but I got to get the lyrics for that one too cuz I'd like to just have them. That's what everyone told me. Have the lyrics, and it's pretty touching. I've been reading the book too, his Maynard's book, so I kind of know a little bit about his mom now and how he grew
Yeah,
up and stuff. Yeah,
I've seen other people reacting, and you can see the screen, and the lyrics are on whatever they're watching. So they're sort of listening and reading the music at the same time.
Oh, maybe I can just put a closed caption on for it or something then.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you just type
Yes.
like, yeah, Tool, Wings for Marie, part one and two with lyrics. And pretty much
Okay.
every song has it. It's a really good way because they'll obviously pop up as he's saying
Yeah.
them. Did either of you see Maynard recently? I didn't watch the whole thing, but I saw some clips on Steve-O's podcast. And there was
Yeah.
a section in there where he really spoke to, that imposter syndrome, feeling like he's not good enough, being incredibly self-critical. And I thought it was just incredibly honest and vulnerable of him to be have all this like, success and so many people look up to him, but he still struggles with those thoughts.
That's yeah. I it's actually been queued up on my pods to like listen to, but that's really cool. I'm gonna listen to it. But yeah, it's nice to hear that though, that honesty.
Yeah.
I've not that anyone cares, but like I felt like that like a while back, even just
Yes,
playing
we do,
music.
Chris. We care.
Well, I'm not main, yeah, but I mean, it's like one of those things where I think we all might feel that way at some point in time, and that's pretty normal maybe to like feel like, all
Well,
right,
I think
yeah,
if you don't have that at all, you're a narcissist.
oh,
It's
okay,
Or a
like
psych or a psychopath.
or a
Sorry.
psychopath or
Well,
both.
I think it speaks. I think that answers
glad
your
I'm not.
question before. You've passed the test. Well done. Um, I think it answers your question before, Hass, about why does it resonate with men? And I did a little branch of my business is called TradeFit, and we had our first Zoom session last night for traders to just sit in on for an hour and all talk. And a lot of things that popped up were, oh, it's just so relieving to hear I'm not the only one going through stuff. It's so nice to hear someone else's struggle. And there was a lady in there, and she's in the sort of on the fringes of the trade industry, and her insights were really interesting because she was talking about how men, the stereotype that men don't speak up and they don't communicate very well. And I said, I think men want to speak. I think men want to be vulnerable, but they turn to their mates, and their mates don't know what to do with these real sort of feelings. So, oh no, you'll be right. Have another beer, and then they turn to their women, and the women are like, "Oh, but you're meant to be the rock. Oh, well, what about my feelings?" And sort of dismiss or diminish it a bit. And so, when Maynard is so raw, as you said, Chris, and is so vulnerable and is so honest, and I think a lot of dudes just, oh yeah, this he gets it, and yeah, that's for me where there's a big connection.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I'm gonna steal that from you, Nick. I'm,
All right, please
yeah,
do. I
I might
stole this
steal that.
T-shirt from you, so.
Yeah, no, it looks great. I know I didn't mention at the beginning. I'm sorry. It looks wonderful. But
That's
yeah,
okay. I didn't
no,
need you. I didn't need your affirmation. I feel wonderful in it, but I appreciate
yeah,
it.
I do think like you hit it there though with the emotional, relief that men might get from the music, like hearing it, and yeah, no, I love that. And maybe that's why I resonated with it. Maybe I needed that because I do have like a men's group and a group that I go to that it's I don't talk a lot in it, but I hear stories from different men that I respect and look up to, and they're talking about different father, things that they go through, or different husband, things that they're going through, and I'm like, okay, this is like actually kind of nice to hear. Like, okay, I'm not the only one who's dealing with certain internal battles. Maybe with my kids, they're thinking like, I just want to be a great dad. Like, if I'm going to be great at anything in my life, it's going to be a father, and a husband, but I like these little things pop up where I question that. Am I a great dad? Like, oh, was I too hard on them? And the meaning and the feeling behind everything I do for them is starts with love, but sometimes it doesn't come off as like as love, and they might not get that yet. So I always am having that battle with myself internally in my mind where I'm like, okay, am I where's the happy medium? The Goldilocks zone, if you will. Do you guys know
Mm,
Goldilocks?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Not
yeah,
personally, but
Yeah.
yeah. I dated her for a while, years back,
Yeah.
but
Uh,
I
just
haven't
right.
caught up for a
Yeah.
minute. Yeah, and that's an interesting thing because you said earlier you want to learn a bit more about what we do, and obviously in the mental health field, and and listening to you, that I think self inquiry is really important, but when it moves past a certain point, it becomes self critical, or it undermines our confidence, or it destabilizes us. And then we find ourselves in a state of anxiety, and then we start changing everything or trying to do things differently, and it really throws us off kilter. And I think, you know, the having a little bit of, you go through an experience with a child and understand the child's not perfect and we're not perfect, and although everything's perfect, but coming out of that going, all right, yeah, it's important to do. How did I do there? How, there was a test. Did I pass the test, and or did I not pass? It's not did I pass or fail. It's did I pass or not pass. And what are the learnings? What are the takeaways? What could I be a bit more mindful of next time? But also, what state was I in? What was my capacity? Because we've got these, we can create expectations of ourselves that are up here, but our capacity can be here, especially with all that we've got going on. And there's a lot of room there for failure or disappointment, or beating ourselves up, which isn't going to serve ourselves or the people in our lives. So it is finding that Goldilocks zone of, all right, that was a bit funky, that was a bit clicky, but I trust our relationship is going to be okay. I trust that we've got enough love there to recover and to keep moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I find most of the time I'm the one who overthinks it, and they're like, yeah, that's fine. And the next time I see them, they're totally fine, and they're like, hey, Dad, like good to go.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's more me, like, and I find that doing that self-reflection, maybe writing in my journal the next morning or meditating on it, I think about it, kind of have that vision of like, okay, that's probably you're probably being way too self-critical over one small thing. And so I kind of move past it. But yeah.
I love
Yeah,
there's a Ram Dass. Have you heard the Ram Dass thing, Haas, where he talks about I am, and I think it's a great
sure.
one for parents. If I can just read it quickly.
Go for it.
Um, it said a lot of people try to counteract the I am not good enough. So let's use parenting. I'm not a good enough parent. They try and counteract that with I am good enough. In other words, they take the opposite and they try and invest it. That still keeps the world at the level of polarities. So it's either North or South Pole. It's one or the other. Very black and white. I'm a good or a bad parent. The art is to go behind the polarities. So the act is not to go to the world of I am good to counteract I am bad or I am lovable as opposed to I am unlovable, but go behind it to I am. And I am includes the fact that I do crappy things and I do beautiful things and everything in between, and I just am. And I just really love that because it's so liberating. It takes the pressure off it. It opens up the whole spectrum, and we can move up and down that spectrum. And we can not have slept well one night and wake up a bit out of sorts in the morning, and we can be a bit reactive to our kids. And then we don't apply meaning to it. We don't sit in judgment of ourselves. We don't go, oh, what should I, shouldn't I, whatever. It can just be,
Yeah.
and then we can come out of that crankiness and see them later on, and we can have a really deep experience with them. And one isn't good or bad. They end up being equal.
Well, it's like taking off a heavy backpack. You spoke about relieving pressure, and it's like if I have a moment where I, believe like, oh, I'm a poor parent or I'm a poor partner or I'm a failure in my business or whatnot. And not only do we shame and guilt ourselves, but then we try and in that world of polarity, try and overcompensate for a perceived failure. So now it becomes me trying to overcompensate. Let's say I have a bad moment with my son, then it's like now I have to be the perfect dad and I'm going to be the perfect dad and I'm going to do
I'll go
this
and
and that
buy
and
them
that.
something.
Yeah, yeah, and I go do all this stuff, and then my son's like, "I just wanted you to sit next to me on the couch and hang out. Like you didn't have to do all this, you know." So you're stuck in that world of, like you said, polarity and trying to overcompensate and make up for what we perceive as a deficiency. Whereas, like that Ram Dass little, poem there was really just about allowing ourselves to be human. I think we all want to be good people, and we are kind people at heart. But as human beings, we make mistakes. That's part of being a human, and we can look at ourselves and do introspection and go, oh, I could have done that better. Do I need to repair this with that person? But we don't have to shame ourselves and make ourselves a bad person for it, which is unfortunately a go-to for a lot of people.
Oh,
Yeah.
we don't have to do that deep analysis on every little thing. Things can just be, and then when it is pretty serious or it is important, that's where you can dive a bit deeper into it and get in your head a little bit. But 80% of the time, you can just let things pass, and we don't have to. I like that 80-20 rule. It's just 80%, yeah, 20%. All right, I might have to explore that a little bit.
I got a question for you guys, and maybe this has to do with what we were just talking about. Do you have any advice for when, like, so for instance, my daughter Sunny, if she gets upset about something, I feel like I can be really present and say, hey, you know what? This might not be the greatest moment, but this also, the way you feel right now, is not going to last forever. You're going to be able to get move past this, and your emotions right now are just temporary. How can I give pretty sound advice, I think, to my daughter in that moment? How do you why is it that sometimes I feel like I forget to tell myself that in moments where my emotions may not be like the most even keeled, and I'm sure, whether I'm going through something, but how would you, I don't know, help with that, something like that, because I'd be curious of what your takes on that
Yeah,
are.
no, you're not alone. It's like we tend to have the ability to hold space for others, especially those that we love quite well, but we forget to do that for ourselves. I think what you're doing for your daughter is amazing. It's like if you're sad, I'll always say to Tommy, I'm like, let's be sad together or let's be angry together and just hold that space of presence and allow the emotions to move through. And that wave will, dissipate because all kids are trying to learn, not trying to, they are learning emotional regulation as they grow up. And part of that learning is watching us and co-regulating with our space, but we tend to forget when it's ourselves. So instead of, I always tell clients, I'm like, imagine that when you're in those tough, uncomfortable emotional states, that you are, 7 years old, 8 years old, or you're your son or your daughter. Like, would you treat them the way that you're treating them? Because normally we're like, I shouldn't be fucking sad. This is bullshit. Stop it. Go away, anxiety, go away, anger, but we would never do that, with our kids. So it's like, how can we create a relationship with ourselves which is more of the same dynamic as with our kids. And oftentimes that's a learning process because it's so automatic for us to shame ourselves and guilt ourselves and make ourselves wrong because we, should be, feeling good and loving all the time. We should never be sad, angry, fearful, guilty, and all that. But once again, like Nick was saying, that's just part of being a human being. It's allowing the sadness as much as we allow the joy and holding space for that. What are your thoughts, Nick?
That's yeah, we call it the paradox of attachment. So, an attachment, in Buddhism is the source of all suffering, and it's this aversion or a desire. So, if I'm feeling a certain way and I don't want to feel that, the irony is I'll compound it and create more of it. So, as Hass was saying, they get angry about being angry, or anxious about being anxious, or sad about being sad, and it just deepens the loop going on. So what we offer and work with clients is going back to emotional intelligence. The first part of that is self-awareness. So really taking time to cultivate the ability to be the observer or the witness, and we call it the I behind the I, the EYE behind the capital I. So it's like you can sit behind yourself and just notice when you come into contraction, notice when you start to get in your head a bit. And that's where you can meet yourself where you are. And in that space between stimulus and response is where you can offer yourself some self-soothing. It's like you can go, oh wow, you're really in it today, aren't you? What do you need? You want to go and chuck on some music. And that's where you can guide or direct yourself a little bit, but you can't do that if you're really in the identity of Chris and you only see yourself as Chris. If you can start to shift out of that a little bit and start to observe that, because a lot of people ask the question, who am I? The classic Zoolander line. I guess I've got a lot to ponder. And then, but that's all relating to the identity. But when we ask, what am I? It's a very different question. And what we are is the conscious awareness that everything exists. And part of everything that's in existence is the physical, spiritual, psychological construct of Chris. So starting to observe yourself and really just not a hyper awareness, but just noticing the ebbs and flows and allowing them to exist. But if you start to move too far down, perhaps that's where I would intervene for myself and go, "All right, buddy, how you doing? What do you need? What's going on here?" And it's cultivating that self-compassion, that self-love, yeah, I don't know. Does that make sense, or is it
Yeah,
a bit?
totally. No, I love both those answers. They're both super helpful and hopefully helpful to others because I know I've been through both of those things and have worked a lot of years like doing both of those things, but sometimes in the moment you just forget like to like show that self-love and
And
show that,
that's
you
why I
know.
so agree is that we use that, the term like doing small reps, like in those moments when the emotions get really difficult or the mind is in overdrive, that's the hardest moments for us to be able to step back and start to watch ourselves and observe because it's very it's like a vortex. It pulls our awareness in. So it's
Yeah.
like when we start to teach ourselves like I'm going to have these check-ins throughout the day, whether it's when I get in the car or get out of the car or I go in and out of the house or whenever it is. I take those moments to step back and observe Ryan and like, how's he going at the minute? How's his thoughts, how's his
Do you do that on the
emotions?
golf course? Can you do
Not
that
as
on the
much
golf
as I
course?
should. That's the most
Okay.
difficult area for me to do that. I've got to do many more
and,
small reps before that big one.
and it's about really just being present and in that moment because in the moment is the only time to do it. And none of us are immune. Ryan and I have been doing this for years and years, and I still have my moments where I'll have an event, an emotional event, and then I won't catch it for an hour or two, and then I'll come into the awareness that I've had that event, and that memory or that coming to that awareness is stimulus as well. So that's where I'll meet myself with compassion again. Yes,
Mm.
it's ideal if you can do it in the moment, but if you can't do it in the moment because it's too big and too powerful, meet yourself as soon as you can, wherever you can. And that's like, oh wow, it's my client in the UK calls it getting kidnapped by his ego, and he'll be cruising along, having a great day, and then all of a sudden someone will do something or say something, and he'll get kidnapped by his ego and he'll disappear for 3 hours. And then he'll come back and he'll be like, fuck, where have I been? And he's like, I'm back. I've both got my arms, got my legs, everyone okay? Yep, do a bit of a check. And so, yeah, the goal would be to catch it in the moment, but it's unrealistic. We can't have that as an expectation. So again, 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you catch it in the moment, the 20% of the time where it's too big, and you come into the awareness of it later, you go, oh, wow, I'm grateful to be back first and foremost. I'm back in the driver's seat and connected to my tools and resources. And wow, I've been in a bit of suffering for a while, and I might have projected that suffering onto the world around me. So I'm going to
Sounds like me
going to check
walking off the
in.
golf course.
It's very much you walking off the golf course. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, it's
It's
great. That's amazing. Yeah, no, I
and
love that.
all of this stuff is good in theory. It's much more difficult in practice. So it's effort and repeated effort and repeat and trying to get consistent with it. I mean, it's like learning a musical instrument, really. It's
Yeah.
how do I stop making that mistake in this song? Well, you've got to be in that moment to, and it's all about cognitive wiring and
I was gonna
it's
ask that. Yeah, I didn't want to get too sciencey, but is that some like neuroplasticity happening with doing these small reps that you're calling them, Ryan, and then Nick, what you're saying?
Yeah, well, that's
It's
what is a rep. The rep is I have a neurological pathway that's a very deep groove and a well-worn path. And in the moment, I'm using my awareness to choose a different path. But then
right.
next time in the same situation, the energy still wants to flow down that path. So I've got to pull it again and again. It's what we call conscious competence. It's like I'm becoming competent at catching myself, but it
Yeah.
takes, oh, Nick's getting the whiteboard out. Look out. So I have this conscious competence, which means that I can become competent, but it's a very conscious process. But when we wear the path enough, we want to achieve that unconscious competence, which is when I can play the notes even without, thinking that I've ingrained that new pathway correctly. All right,
I
what have
do
we got
this.
here, whiteboard boy?
Yeah.
well, it's just for Chris. So imagine this is a neurological pathway in your brain, and 80% of the time people are reactive. So this is the stimulus, but then people react and then so they go into this space where they don't feel very happy. We call it destructive. And so people are doing this 80% of the time. So it's a really sort of well-worn path. It's really quite deep and it's like a highway. The traffic just flows down it naturally. Only 20% of the time are they get into this space between stimulus and response and self-soothing or soothing others, or they're grounded and in position to do what's required, and then they can meet the adversity or whatever it is and move forward. So we need to create a circuit breaker, which we call that mental rep. And in that mental rep, there's 4 steps. So you've got to catch first. So you've got to understand that you're down here. And then laughing at yourself is really helpful because it just lightens things. Um, and then we rewind, so pull ourselves back into that space, so we become present again, and then we change. And so we're changing the narrative, we're changing the dialogue, we're changing our nervous system, we're changing the neurological pathway we're going down. So that mental rep is, it's a really conscious sort of thing, and think of it like a muscle.
Yeah.
If you haven't used it very much, it's going to take time to um, I don't know if you've done Pilates or anything, but there's Tai Chi. There's movements where you're like, oh, my brain doesn't know how to do that. I don't have the wiring, and then you slowly start forming that wiring, and then all of a sudden it gets a little bit easier, a little bit easier, a little bit easier, and then these percentages end up flipping, and you're like, okay, this is my new normal now. So
Yeah.
that's in a nutshell how it works.
Now it's amazing how much similarities there are in the body, physical body, as there is in like the mental, the brain. Because I mean, obviously, everything happening in the body is coming from the brain. But when I am treating patients, it's very much having them consciously, like let's say it's a postural issue or it's a back issue or a shoulder problem. It's like I have to teach them to consciously be aware of the way they're doing things before it becomes this automatic response, which is pretty much what you guys are talking about. If I'm picking up on all this
Yeah, yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
For
yeah.
sure.
anyway, yeah. So it's kind of cool to see how it works with our emotions and what you're talking about with these mental reps and also physical reps if you're healing from an injury. So it's pretty cool to
It was
see
I
interesting.
that.
might,
I've had a lot of back issues, Chris, and it's really good at the minute. And I've had a lady who works on me every month, just as maintenance. And a while ago, my back was in a good place, and we finished a session, and I think maybe picking up my shoes or something off the ground, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "What?" She's, "You're bending over like you still have back issues, but you don't." She called it pain brain. And so I
Huh.
became very aware of the way that I was trying to protect my back, but now my back's really good. And I realized, oh my God, now I didn't have that awareness. It was so unconscious because I've been in pain for so long. So then I
Hmm.
started that rewiring process of just, picking stuff up, in a somewhat normal way.
Yeah, yeah.
the
Make
mind
sure
and
you
body aren't too dissimilar, and a lot of my work has been educating people that you go to the gym, you work out, you're mindful of what you put into your body. Why aren't we treating our mental health the same as our physical health? Why aren't we training our brain? Why aren't we more mindful of what we're consuming mentally? What's our mental diet, music, television, the people we're around, all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's interesting when you see them so similar, and you're like, oh, what I'm doing for this, I can do for that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool. I was just going to give you a quick tip, Ryan. So make sure you keep your hip mobility really good. It's going to help your golf game and your low back pain. So
Oh, look out, Nick, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble.
I'll send you some hip stretches and some dynamic stuff before you get on the range.
That'd be
Yeah.
great. Yeah, if you could do that before tomorrow about 10:36 our time, that'd be
His,
great.
his hip mobility stuff isn't going to help your self-talk or your reactiveness
Well,
towards yourself on the
only
golf
one way to
course.
find out.
Okay, okay.
I'm
We're
on it.
playing a crucial match tomorrow, Chris. We play this thing called the. Long story short, we went to Vietnam, and the Vietnamese currency is called the dong, which our inner child's loved and had a great time pulling all these jokes with. And so now we play a couple of times a year the Dong Cup, and it's played over 3 rounds. So I've received Ryan's dong a lot over the last couple of years. He hasn't
Just
had
slipped it into
to
his back pocket.
he hasn't had to take any of mine yet. So tomorrow is the decider. We're 1-1 in this year's Dong Cup. So
Oh
Yeah.
man, what do you got the trophy? Like I'd love to see what this
So
year's trophy
I
is.
actually, so we play for 1 million Vietnamese dong, which is about 60 Australian dollars, right?
Okay.
But we go and get an actual $1 million note. But the last time we played, I did did a bit of research on a trophy, and what I found on the internet was not ideal.
You got to race
you
that
got to
search
use the
history.
regular web, not the dark web.
Oh, is
Has
that where I'm going wrong? There's not a
yeah.
dark one? There's a light one? Wow. Chris,
It's like one of the golf trophy. I saw a women's golf trophy, like professional women, and it was this thing with some
I
things
saw
here, and
that.
this woman was kissing it,
I
and it
saw
was
that.
like the most phallic trophy possible for
Are
a
they
women's
playing for the
cricket.
Dawn Cup too? I didn't know there was other
Uh, uh,
competitors.
it looked like it.
Yeah.
So.
Chris, for people that didn't watch the last episode, where can they get in touch with you? What's the YouTube channel or what's the Patreon? How do they connect?
Yeah, it's just Chris G. Chris G reacts. I bet if you just searched on YouTube Chris G Tool, I'll come up. I think Chris G might come up. I don't know. I don't search myself ever. So, and
It's
then
probably healthy.
yeah, and then there's all the links to like my Instagram and YouTube and Patreon are there if they want to join the community and support the channel. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, some fun stuff coming up soon. So we got a couple people on Patreon. They're curating like an entire week of videos, and some people are picking some stuff I've never heard of. It's not outside the metal prog rock realm, but it's different and it's cool. So it's kind of fun
That's
to
awesome.
get people. I'm
Uh,
getting a
uh,
little more into Rush. Rush is
yeah.
dominating my ears right now. Yeah.
And we've only spoken about Tool, but yeah, as you said, you do a lot, and then you start bringing the sax in. And you start. I saw you playing over the top of some stuff as well, which was cool. The Ren, how's that Ren
Yeah,
dude? Like
I
what
love
a
Ren. Yeah, Ren is such a wonderful human being. Gosh, that
mm,
that person, he's so inspiring, and I've read a lot about him and what all the stuff he's been through his entire life, a lot of mental and physical pain and suffering he's been through. And I love playing with his music. He's a wonderfully creative artist, creator, musician, whatever you want to call him. He's the whole thing. I mean, he's wonderful. And yeah, I like playing along with his stuff because it's some stuff that I know, like it's some reggae, it's some,
mm,
message in a bottle or whatever, it's got some funk or some soul to it, which I can just groove straight on with my horn. It's super easy to, figure out. I can figure it out in a couple notes and just go and just
yeah,
blow. So it's really
which is
fun.
all which is awesome. So for listeners who are like, yeah, it's all schmool or whatever, A, go to hell, but B, jump onto Chris's channel because
If they've
there's
lasted
a
this long in the episode, that's an incredible feat if they don't like Tool.
that Ren version of I Shot the Sheriff was, I don't know if you've caught on to that one, but that
Yeah,
was
I did that one. I played along with that one. Is
okay.
that the big push one where he's got the medley
Yeah,
going?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I did play along with that one. I've got a couple Ren. I want to do more Ren, but it's so hard with I got to figure out how to juggle it all, really,
yeah,
or
yeah,
just quit
totally.
my day job and just figure out how to do this full time. That's not in
Well,
the cards yet. Yeah.
we're all the better for having you in existence, mate, and thank you
Oh,
for
too
putting your
kind.
content out there and yeah, just as I said, I think what's um the thing that's creating the success for you, I think, is your organic personality and just your natural vibe and your authenticity. And there's nothing that any of us can pick up on that's false or disingenuous or anything. So, just
It's
thanks for being you first and foremost, and thanks for what you do.
You're so kind. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for that. That's awesome. You're too nice.
No,
Thanks. Yeah.
it's just true. It's not hard to speak the truth. So,
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. I have a hard time taking compliments, so thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
all right, well,
Awesome.
we can
Well,
work on that, booking a session with us, and we'll
I was going to
sort that
say,
out
yeah,
for
we'll
you.
fix that up for sure.
I feel like
Yeah.
I've gotten like some free stuff here today, so I hope a lot of people have gotten a lot out of it, and it's always a pleasure talking to you guys. We'll have to do it again sooner than later.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, let's do it on a couple of times a year or whatever. Just keep checking in.
Sounds good.
All
Awesome.
right, and
Thank
we'll
you,
see.
everyone.
We'll see you in Vegas.
Can you imagine, like I said to you, Nick, before this talk started, Danny Carey coming out saying they might do a residency. I remember like a year when the Sphere first opened, I was like, can you imagine Tool at the Sphere? Like that
Yeah.
would be absolutely off its guts. So, you
Would you
know,
want to take mushrooms before it or not? Or would you just want to have a
nah, I've got like so you showed your Alex Gray painting when we first, but it
mm,
might have been before we pressed record, and I was went to Rainbow Serpent Festival at Bushduff, and there was an Alex Gray art exhibition. I'm like, oh, you beauty! I made a terrible mistake of taking acid for one of the first times in my life and took way too much, and I was in the middle of an Alex Gray art exhibition in a tent, and I told my friend, I'm like, get me the hell out of here because I'm about to go to a different dimension, and I'm not sure about it. Having flashbacks, having flashbacks.
get in there. Ryan, come to us.
All right, I'm diving
Come
in. I'm
to
diving
us.
in.
Come to us.
All right,
All
let's
right.
wrap it
Well,
up. Chris, thank you so much.
Ryan's going to go and do his hip flexor work.
I
So
can't
Yeah,
wait. I'm going to
I got to pick the girls up, and I'm sending you a video, Ryan. So I'll send
done,
it to you
bro.
too, Nick, if you want to get
thank
if you
you.
have a
No,
chance
No,
to.
no, I
don't
need.
send it to him. Don't send it to him. All right, thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you, Chris. Peace out.
See you,
Bye
Chris.
bye.
See you.
Thanks.